Good morning, everybody. I'm trying to do this with these are my driving glasses. um, so we're going to talk to Zwann Grays about diversity in wine. It's the whole theme this month. Tomorrow we're talking with a black winemaker, Marbu Mark, at Oceano Wines in California. And then Aaron Thorpe on Monday about Super Gay Vodka. He's got a new vodka brand. It's amazing. And then Leo Robacek on Tuesday. And then on Friday, Chateau Clemence was just back to my Vineyard Chat series. So, thanks for joining, and stick around. Zwann will be here any minute. The Instagram magic has to happen. And we'll see how long I can keep these glasses on because they're making me a little crazy. So yeah, who is everybody? I don't know you guys, but thanks for joining. Let's see, it just takes so long for it to connect. Even I know Zwann is watching this. I'm trying to get on here. So it's Juneteenth on Saturday, the 19th, and so we're going to talk about that with Zwann and Marbu. And next week, go back to the gay thing. Hi, Italian wine lover. Thanks for joining, everybody. Bear with me while Zwann joins us. She'll be here any minute. My menagerie of plants behind me is getting out of control. There she is. I'm gonna have to trim some down, I'm afraid. This one is a baby of that one, which grows really fast.
Oh.
And, I'm gonna do that maybe in the morning. If anybody wants a cutting, let me know. This one is here. But again, Instagram delays the whole. Maybe it's just the internet. Who knows? So, I sent you an invite, or you can request an invite from me. There you are.
Hey.
Hi, hon. How are you?
I'm good. Just trying to get this, get it looking like something here. This
Well, I'm struggling because I'm neurotic about my glasses. I have bags under my eyes, but I lost my good glasses, so I'm wearing I call them my driving glasses because they're transitionals that become sunglasses. So I'm just like very.
I know you like the light, is it?
My light's good. Your light's good. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Well, it's really nice to see you.
You too. Always.
I got to come out and eat with you again soon.
Yes.
It's been
Everyone
a
was
long.
like, I'm going to go see Jeff. I'm going to see Jeff. I'm like, I'm going to be going to go see Jeff.
You need to come see Jeff.
Not at 10 a.m. though, next time.
But it's hard. It's like I got to tell you, on my night off, I kind of want to just stay home though, so I don't like to go out when I'm so tired.
That's
of
what I'll be
dealing with
doing
people,
tonight.
You know?
It's actually it just feels so nice to, and this is again like through the pandemic space and the restaurant space.
Yeah.
Having those nights off and like cooking dinner and preparing your
Exactly.
grocery list because you know you're going to prepare dinner. And do it. It feels really good to just have a night watch a movie.
But that's the thing. It's like we're so people entrenched at work that when you're off, you just kind of want to undo all that. I got to tell you, Marquita, Carrie, Missy are all on here. Thanks for joining.
Hey y'all!
Your fan club.
Thank y'all for getting up this morning, honey. I know it's early.
Oh, Big Mike Sachs says, "Hey, pretty lady." I love it. So, Zwann, would you introduce yourself for the few people who might not know you?
I'm Zwann. I've been working in restaurants and wine retail for the past 12 years, minimum, maybe longer than that. And from retail, got into, I started with wine bars and then restaurants, and then eventually got a sommelier position, which led into 2 wine directorship positions.
Yeah.
And here I am.
So tell us about, let's see, I want to know, tell us about the 2 restaurants that you do the wine programs for, and then kind of tell how everything has changed in the past year and a half.
Okay, so 2 restaurants I'm working with now, Olmsted and Maisonaki, its sister restaurant. So they're both on Vanderbilt Avenue, basically across the street from one another. Greg Backstrom's the chef. He is an American man from Chicago, Illinois. Um, and his background is a little bit more like French fine dining, American
Okay.
fine dining. And so his space is like his restaurant. So it's classic techniques, but with more of like his take on ingredients that either we grow in our back garden at Olmsted, or that he gets from the market. So very much that vein of like local sustainability,
Uh-huh.
good for the environment, farm to table, if that's not worn out yet. But that is what it is, because the garden is in the back.
No, it's really
Maybe,
good, and it's a good reminder to look at that. He's
yeah,
a leader.
grow your food. It's fun, actually. I grew some zucchini
Oh, nice.
over the pandemic, and it was actually quite fun to watch those things grow, which they do.
Very good.
Maison Yaki is a little more like, kind of more like bar style.
Okay.
It's Japanese styled skewers. So there's a huge grill in there, and they change up what they're going to be grilling. Again, lots of time and effort go into these sauces and the production of the proteins, and it's just kind of more of like a hangout. Olmsted's a little more like, you know, a little more highbrow, I guess is the best way to put it, compared to Maison Yaki.
And Maison-Yaki changes, right? You have different wine people in or something?
Well, we were doing
Because like Kalila just did a
pop-ups.
turn there.
We were
Yeah.
coming out of the pandemic, and we were able to kind of bring in Black chefs and Black entrepreneurs to use the space to basically take over for 2 weeks
Okay.
and promote what it is that they wanted to promote.
Greg just got
Mostly
on
a
here.
chef with food. Yeah.
Greg just got on here. He's watching.
Hey, Greg. Hey, chef.
So, but your garden during the quarantine, I call it the backyard. Your backyard helped out, right? Because you had a space kind of ready to go.
Well, I'll say that post-pandemic and the reopening space, it was a huge help. Luckily, we have the sidewalk in the front, and then we also had the garden in the back, which kind of bled over into a side deck that we could put tables into. So yes, the outdoor space was a huge help. And just having space to put bodies so that we can like serve food to paying customers.
Right, exactly.
Without them having to be inside or, worry about, there was no indoor dining, so that wasn't even a concern. But like, you knew it wasn't like a makeshift thing per se, because the garden was already kind of in place, and the extra deck space was just a blessing, really.
Yeah, totally. Oh, Greg is so nice. Oh my gosh, everybody's so jazzed on here. I love the comments. Like, I'm wearing my, like, I call them my driving glasses, because I gotta go like this to read my screen. How did the pandemic affect you? When we were shut down, and then over this, I started doing this type stuff, and what did you do stuff? Did you learn new skills? Did you pivot in the past year and a half?
Yeah, I think that space really, what it does is it gives you, once the anxiety subsides, you start to like think about life and the peace place of not clocking in and clocking out. I always say the hamster wheel of restaurants. I mean, you're going. And when you get off the work wheel, you're still kind of like going out and like partying until 2, 4 o'clock in the morning or whenever. And then it just kind of, it's tiring. And I think that's the focus. A lot of people in restaurants do other things, and they can kind of split their brains. But for me, it was very much just restaurant wine space as far as work goes. And so after that, in the pandemic, it was very much like a rest space. And then you start to like get ideas. A lot of like virtual tastings popped up. A lot of, I guess, conferences, talks, things like that, all in the virtual space. And so that became a way to make a little bit of money while the restaurants were closed.
Mm-hmm.
But when the restaurants reopened, I did go back. Like, so people moved. People went and started families. They left the city.
Do you
I
do
think
you have the same staff? A lot of our staff completely turned over.
there's a sprinkling, more like upper management,
Yeah.
and a bartender server that have been with us for like years. But I can guarantee you now, I know that finding staff is difficult. The turnaround in all restaurants and pre-pandemic also is just kind of like this revolving door, but it is a little bit, it's a little bit more difficult now to, I guess, retain staff, but more so to get good staff, like seasoned vets, not like,
that's very hard.
you know, people who are just entering the business, and they're great too, but you got to train them up. You know, they might not have the mechanics that you might be used to, but you know, I'm like, you got 2 hands, 2 feet, we'll take you.
Exactly. That's exactly how we're doing. And I got to say, there's something to be said for, we made a lot of bussers into waiters, and they're so enthusiastic, and they'll do anything you ask, and they want to be there. And that's very refreshing. And hard work is hard work. You can't teach that.
Yeah, it's true. And I think we'll get into this, but it does go into the space of finding a place that you want to be at.
Yeah.
And I think about you and like how long you've been at Waverly. How long have you been there?
Crazy. I've been there 10 years.
A lot of folks say that, you know.
I know it's, but you know what's funny is the same owners own Bowery Bar, and I was at Bowery Bar for 12 years. And between those two, I bopped around a year here and there. But it is true, and this is kind of, we're talking about safe spaces or places where you fit in, just because sometimes you and I haven't in the world. And it's, but you're right. When you find a place, you fit in, and it's nice. But I think that's something that has changed. Just, and we'll switch now to talking about diversity a little bit. But I feel like the restaurants were always a safe place for gay people, and it's not. It's probably more so, but I think it's more accepting of all people now. It's not just the gays. What's your experience with that, the restaurant industry, or even the retail wine industry?
With diversity, feeling included?
Yeah, or just it being a safe place, or a place where you fit in.
Right. Yeah, I've always, and I think that's why you don't leave. Like, I think that every industry is set up differently, right? So you have like all forms of businesses, and inclusion really is what it is. And diversity has always kind of been, well, maybe not always. Let's be very clear. Take that back.
Exactly.
Scratch that. That's a lie. I think the restaurant space, especially when we think about like bar culture, and even diners. I think about even like movies and diners where people have worked there for years and years. It's like Betty and Diane over here, been working here for 20 years. Their kids now work here. Everybody comes, they can see them. They know that they're there. That's their family. And you can kind of talk and chit chat, you know, shoot the shit, you know, people's families. Like the diner and bar space, maybe because it's smaller.
Yeah.
And is more folksy and maybe homey because of the amount of staff you have and what the operation is and what people are there to experience. I can see that being a safe space. And I think, you know, I haven't worked in one of those environments, but I get that family time because you spend so much time there, and it is, you know, it's you and another person, or you and 2 other people. Like you're gonna be close, and like maybe the chef in the back who you may love to hate or love to love, but you're all there together, and you're gonna get to know each other. And so in that space, I think that has definitely, you know, imparted on restaurant culture being inclusive. Now you think about bigger restaurants, you know, now fast forward to to where everybody want to be a server now, and like you can go travel and take time off and like make some money. Everybody used to be like, what's the money looking like at the restaurant that you were maybe suggesting that they go work at? And that can be a lot of different people can come into that space. You know, it's depending on what you want your restaurant vibe to be and to look like. And so that then gets into the space of, is it now a safe space? And I know that your traditional restaurants and like chef culture and just restaurant culture in general, it began to be more of a scary space for people in the back of the house and people in the front of the house. And where that happened, I don't know. But it did. And I know everyone that I work with or have worked with have probably felt fear at some point in time at a given restaurant they've worked at.
Yeah.
And that's when people are like, bump this, I'm out. Or you keep going back and you're just like, scared to death of making a mistake. It's just been like this.
And well, exactly. And then when you just said being scared at work has been like this reopening and wearing your mask and don't, you know, people getting sick in the world. And it's like, it's this whole, but I got to say, there's a certain shift that you've been able to say, I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm not doing that. And 2 years ago in the restaurant industry, they'd be like, well, then go leave. And now people are like, okay, well, you need to be comfortable at work. And that has changed with the pandemic. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about Juneteenth, because that's coming up Saturday. Hi, Deidre.
Hi, Jade. Today is like Zwann in the morning, and I just want to shout you out. You right, because honey, I was like, 10 a.m. Oh Lord, that's early. Anyway, but
thank you for joining. But while I mentioned Juneteenth, I got to tell you, I switched up my wine. There's a black winemaker at Oceano named Marbu Mark, and he's going to be here tomorrow at 11 a.m. So I just want to shout that. So tell me about Juneteenth. It's this Saturday, the 19th.
Yes, Juneteenth.
So what is it, and what are we going to do?
Oh, well, I hope to be launching a little something. So I know I'm not on Instagram a lot, but take a look on Juneteenth, see what it do. If it's not there, I'll let you know where.
Okay, awesome. That's
no guarantees, but that's the goal. Juneteenth. So as a Texan, we celebrated it. Basically, Juneteenth was June 19th, like 1865, when Gordon Granger came through Galveston and basically freed the slaves in Texas. So the proclamation had been issued in like 1862, 63, maybe like went into effect in 1863. Texas being a remote place, we got the news late. So as a Houstonian rather, I can say that I think that's why it was a big deal for us, because it was kind of like a Texan holiday. That's how we saw it. It might not be. And I know that Juneteenth is just this holiday that still people are like, what? I mean, it might now, people are so woke now that they're like, oh, Juneteenth, cool. But we would, even in high school, we had like a Juneteenth parade, and we would go.
Is that, you think that's because it was Texas?
What's that?
You think that's because it was Texas? Because I'd heard of it, but it was just in the past few years, it's becoming a much bigger thing.
Right. So it's not, even in like junior high school, it was very much a thing. This is not a new concept or holiday at all. And I went to a predominantly Black high school, and we definitely did the Juneteenth parade, which is like a small scale parade. You go coming up Malcolm X, make a left on MLK, take the parade down Booker T. Washington. It was very much in the neighborhood type of situation. And that's what it was. And because it was in Galveston, we would go to Galveston, and that was like our beach. And we would celebrate. We would. It just was a holiday, very much recognized annually every year, growing up to now.
It still kind of blows my mind to think that like emancipation happened as the army went down and west, and they got
Exactly.
to Texas a couple of years later. It's crazy to think that.
It is crazy that it took that long. And then at that time, it was like, I don't know, upwards of 250,000 slaves.
Right.
And so for that news to hit 250,000 people, I mean, I can't even imagine.
Especially can they just tweet them? Why don't we know that?
Right. No, they was like standing on the platform in the middle of the Strand in Galveston, like, hear ye.
Right.
And I mean, no one I would imagine was expecting that news, but it came on June 19th, 1865. Right.
So here's a question for you that I struggle with this in a few ways, because Pride celebration is celebrating being proud of who you are and letting go of shame or the difficulties you had in the past. And so when you celebrate, you have to acknowledge the difficulty in the past.
Yes.
When I had a big Austrian Riesling tasting in a group, and Howard Goldberg, RIP, he said, look, in New York, there's a lot of Jews in New York, and Austria was very big in World War II, and there's just some, we don't want to go there. And Anna Kriebel, I believe, said, Howard, thank you for bringing it up. The only way we can address that is to address that. We talk about it, we acknowledge it, and then we can join forces, go together, whatever. And the same thing with Juneteenth. It's like you celebrate it, but when you celebrate it, you have to acknowledge the difficulty that brought it on. And that's why I struggle to say Happy Juneteenth. It's not my holiday, and I also don't want to talk about slavery because it's a difficult, awful thing, but you want to say Happy Juneteenth, but it's actually a really big thing to say, and I would ask you to comment on that.
Well, I think it's definitely not a for us by us situation, but I think that the celebratory space was very much a Black Southern Black space. And so there was no, we would say it to each other, Happy Juneteenth, okay. But I don't even think we knew what I'm going to speak for myself. Gotcha. I knew what the holiday was.
Yeah.
I knew why it mattered. I knew we celebrated it. But it wasn't like a happy Thanksgiving type thing. It was just like, it's Juneteenth. Where are we going? What we doing?
Right.
Because it's going to be something. And we're going to celebrate it. We might have a cookout. We might, like I said, we used to go to the beach, go to Galveston. But we knew we were going to get together. Acknowledging, I guess it kind of goes without saying that you're acknowledging the pain part of it, right? That's why, like you said, to your point, it is celebratory, because that's something that you fucking celebrate. And so I think it's more so the aftermath. You celebrate the emancipation. Yeah, you celebrate getting through it. I mean, you celebrate the fact that on the looking back space, and this can kind of go towards Pride also, like where we have come from, and how far we have to go. Speaking of Pride and Pride celebrations, it just, I don't know. It's also like, if a white person said Happy Juneteenth, I might be like, well, maybe. No.
Right?
Probably not. I might be like, okay. I mean, I don't know, because it definitely has been something within the Black community for the Black community. And I think that's why it's just now gaining traction, because people are reading more. There is Twitter. People are on Instagram. Like I said, feeling woke, and like, I know what this is. And so it is kind of difficult to navigate. Like, how do you, as someone not of color or from an enslaved people in the South, celebrate this? Is it something that you celebrate? Is it something that should just be within our own community? Like, we will get there, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I figure it's something everyone should celebrate, for sure. Was it a struggle that some people didn't go through? Yeah. But we're here able to talk now because of that. And Juneteenth
100%.
Being the last place to get the news is really a part of why I think Texas was so instrumental in making this holiday, because everybody got their date, right? Like you
Right.
say, traveling through, but we were like the last, and so 2 years
Wow.
have gone by, and you have this many people enslaved for 2 years, unbeknownst that this proclamation had even been, had even gone into effect, which is crazy, but real.
So on that front, we'll pivot to talking about pride since you mentioned it, and since we're talking about just the many ways of being different in the one world.
Yes.
Do you celebrate pride, or do you think it's still a protest, or is it both? I really have trying to put my head around those two things lately.
I think in celebrating, it is also protesting. It's like,
Okay.
fuck it all. We are getting together. Where are we going? Where are we meeting up? Same situation.
Yeah.
And people say that now, happy pride. And it's not even an issue now. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah.
that pride has become such a universal thing that it it's different from like a Juneteenth, happy Juneteenth situation. Like people feel a part of it, the parades, the marches, the
Right.
parties. It's a thing, and it's something that should be celebrated. I mean, my God, like
Yeah.
it. I think it is more celebratory now. Like I think Juneteenth has always been celebratory in my
Mm-hmm.
life,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, it's every day. You see your folks and your people and you
Mm-hmm.
kick it. But when you can like collectively get together and it is like an actual energy
Mm-hmm.
beyond, like the entire city is celebrating this, other
Right.
cities are celebrating this. It becomes a part of our fabric
Right.
as human beings, young, old,
Yeah.
black, Puerto Rican, purple.
It's because I was never really, just because I work in crowds, I don't really go seek out crowds, and I've been to the parade a couple of times, but it's just not my thing. But I
Yeah.
also don't know if that's because I'm not proud enough. I don't know, but but I do see the value in celebrating that. First, you grow up feeling different and feeling outsidery, and then to have this thing happen that's saying no, you open, it's like, I don't know, a closet door or something. You're opening, you're letting people see that you're different, and it's okay to be different. And I have a hard time. It's such a not a happy thing to talk about, but there's the shame side of growing up gay, where you knew you were different, you didn't anybody to talk to it about, and I personally kind of grew up thinking there was something wrong with me, and to let that go and have that reinforced from the outside is very profound. I think that we don't even acknowledge that so much, that it's having the world accept that is a really big thing. And just you can't turn on the news in June back home in Iowa or whatever without seeing that, and it makes it easier for the next wave of people. Like trans people are having a hell of a time right now, and to see this
Yes.
diversity celebrated has I hope it helps people that are out there struggling through this.
I think, we talk about movements and where those movements begin, like sitting across the kitchen table and eating. We think about marches and organizers
Mm-hmm.
and people getting involved. And I think that now the involvement, like I said, it's involvement, yes, but it also is just, I think, and maybe this is just the New Yorker in me, but it seems like something everyone wants to celebrate, and it might just be my circle, people that I'm around, um, but it's completely embraced. It's something that everyone wants to go to. They want to know where you at. Same story. Like the Juneteenth parallels are very much there,
Yeah.
but where it starts like in the house, small scale celebration, it now, like now we're talking about this on Instagram Live in
Right.
2021, and some people might not even know it's Pride Month, and you might not even know that Juneteenth was a holiday or what is it. But this is how we progress.
Yeah.
And I think these conversations and people discussing and sitting around the table and getting together, it will become just a part of our life. Like it's
Yeah.
not gonna be this thing that we need to hate on, or as we talk about like discrimination and diversity and inclusion. I think it just will naturally, because the push is just too great. Like no one's pushing against this like we used
Right.
to
Right.
see. You
100%.
know what I mean?
100%.
Otherwise, your ass is canceled. You lose jobs. Ain't nobody standing for this. Like
Yeah.
it's just not. And honestly, we still continue to see that happen. So I think I'm not gonna get into cancel culture right now, but I think that as people unite and believe in something and stand for something, everything else that goes against it will burn down.
I 100% agree with you. Can we talk about being different in the wine world? I personally, just when I got into the wine world, just being a gay guy in a room with a bunch of straight guys, felt a little intimidated. But I can hide out and you know straighten up, as they say. And what's it like being a black gay woman in the wine world? Has it been weird? Marquita's on here, but I always think of her story about going to one of her first portfolio shows and being the only black girl in the room, and how daunting that must be. And I just wanted to ask your experience with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's never been, I think it's more so, sexuality aside, like you said, you can go and like straighten up, as you say, which is actually kind of funny. But, you know, I approach a table and I look like this. There's no straightening up anything. And I think that you were asking, has there been like overt discrimination? And I think there's mental discrimination at all times.
Yeah.
It might, I recall things here and there where I was like, that might have been a little sideways. But for the most part, for me, it wasn't an isolated thing. It was more so approaching a table and having the table look up and be like, oh, are
Oh,
you the
you're
sommelier?
the sommelier, right?
Are
Right.
you the sommelier? Oh. And really wrapping their mind around that before going into their question
Right.
or going into their space of comfort to get answers about the wine list. And that happened more than any other, isolated event. Yeah, we would go into trade tastings and you're just like, Marquita was, someone I came up with and relied on as a mentor. When these tastings would happen, we would meet outside so that we could taste together, so we didn't feel so alone and isolated in a sea of whiteness and buttoned upness. And not to mention all of the, people coming from abroad who think, why are you here? You know what I mean?
Right.
From France specifically,
Yeah.
the Italians, no one's exempt. I mean, when we would taste together, it was almost like power in our two numbers and like your sister, to go through and ask questions and feel comfortable, instead of just being yourself in a sea of people trying to navigate this room. It's a lot, especially when you don't see people that look like you. And again, now, to Marquita's point, as she has been vocal about, is that now you can walk in a room and you're like, boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's not just you as far as people of color tasting. And they look all types of ways. People go to the tastings casual, looking straight out of Crown Heights, like nobody really cares. And I think that in and of itself, I mean, we have a long way to go, let's be honest. And it does depend on the portfolio tasting that you're going to this day, of how it looks. A lot of books, most in fact, have a long way to go with having their trade tastings, if that comes back, which I'm sure it will, look look diverse, but at the same time, I think that diversity comes as a byproduct of inclusion. And so if your restaurant is inclusive, your staff will be diverse.
Right.
If your styling is inclusive, the guests and the clients in the restaurant will be diverse.
Yeah.
And the same thing with a lot of portfolios. If your portfolio is inclusive, not just of every French winemaker that you know, but if it's inclusive of all people, the buyers and the people at the trade tasting will be diverse. Oh, that's my doorbell.
You want to go get it?
Okay. No, I'm not going to get that. The last time I did that, I thought a package was coming, and Jade is here. She can attest to that. And went downstairs. I was like, oh, maybe that's the package.
If you need to get it, go get it. It's fine.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, fine. While she's away, I'm just going to say that for any people that are having, a portfolio show, the idea of Zwann and Marquita meeting up outside to kind of have the group strength to face the gauntlet of a show is kind of horrifying that they would have to do that. And I hope that I can go forward doing events that, because it's scary going into a room of just different people, new people. But we can always remember to, whenever we have our things, are two people having to meet outside because they don't have the nerve to come in here alone. And that's something to really think about. Yeah, Marquita, the meeting this week, is it this week? It's 22nd. It's next Tuesday. It's in a week now. Everything good?
I'm back. Yeah, maintenance. Worst timing ever.
Yeah, exactly.
I
turned mine off.
An appointment.
Right. Okay.
Anyway. Sorry about
that.
But
while you were away, I was just saying that I hope going forward, because I have wine events, and I know it's not just a race thing or a sexuality thing, but going into a space just can be daunting. If even just a dinner party, and
definitely,
even if you're having a dinner party or you're having a wine event, is it a place that two people might have to go meet up outside to have the courage or the strength or whatever to come in together? And
right.
If you're having an event like that, maybe think about that. That's my take.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
See. Yeah. And I think that's the point, to think on the flip side. As an organizer of an event, I ran up the stairs with a lot of breath. Whew, I'm going to need some of this diversity.
Yes. So I didn't say this at the beginning. I forgot. I'm so disorganized and excited to see you that Frederick Wildman & Sons has brought us together. They're asked me to talk to diverse voices in wine. And so last week I talked to, Brian Long, who is AKBL. He's in Summation with, I think Carrie's still on here. And then Sameligay, he's a Filipino guy out in San Francisco that makes those hysterical videos. Marbu Mark is a black winemaker at Oceano, and that's the wine I'm drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Let's go.
Here's some health. Cheers, babe.
Cheers. I'm taking a nap after this.
100%. And then so I don't know if you know this vodka, Super Gay vodka. Aaron Thorpe made it. It's made from corn upstate, and it's actually really delicious. And then Leo Robacek, who was the bar beverage director at the Nomad. He's in London now, but I'm talking with him.
What's the name of the Super Gay vodka?
Say again?
Google that. I was just repeating the name, Super Gay vodka.
Yeah, it's I'll connect you guys. Aaron is wonderful, and it's a really good brand. And then originally they were going to give 10% of the profits back to the gay community, charities and stuff. But since the COVID stuff, they're donating it to restaurant community people that were displaced and stuff like that.
What I have to say is a whole plug. Girlfriends on here, Amy. Future Gin, 4 queer women making gin in downtown LA. Get it.
Nice.
Ginny and Friends Watch distributes it in New York. Future Gin,
it is distributed in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, we have to get some. Okay. Somebody send me that. So we have gone past the half an hour because you're such a delight to talk to, and I really am going to get out to see you again. I kind of covered all of my points. I got to just make my list here. Is there anything else you would like to say as parting remarks, dear?
Oh, I'm looking at my notes here, and I think we covered it. I thought we were gonna go an hour, and that's why I was like, oh,
Yeah, well, oh,
it's
I
the
didn't
wrap
mention
up.
that
I
generally
thought,
keep it
oh,
a
this is
half hour,
perfect.
but yeah, but
That's
I
cool.
think we kind of covered everything. You're really fascinating to talk to, and I got to tell you that these things are always weird because it's like, oh, it's two people sitting in a room talking. But how often do you, if I come to see you, we might actually have 10 minutes talk throughout the whole meal so we can't actually have in depth. And even if we go to tastings together or something, that you rarely get to have these long conversations.
Right.
So
I hope that we get to a space where we can, meet up on a Wednesday night, and it's not at your place or my
yes,
place, where you do only have like 5 minutes because you're running around, but
yeah,
that we can like go somewhere as we see, places reopen. I've
yeah.
certainly taken advantage of it. And I think it's nice to have these conversations, share, but it's also like the one-on-one space. I don't think we've ever sat down and like broken bread, Jeff.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
maybe we did at Rita's, the
Yes,
Duclos
but there was still a lot
tasting.
to cover, and we didn't actually. Yeah, we did, but it was
Exactly.
not
So
as
let's
much.
do that.
That's
And I think
100%.
we all should. I think, like I said, people in restaurants have left restaurants
Yeah,
in major waves, and kudos,
yeah,
live your
100%.
best life.
Totally.
But, even in my pivots, I want to, in my time off of the floor, still support places where, you
Yeah,
work
because
or where your friends
uh,
work, and we sit there together and not be
Marquita
working.
just said, "Let's make a Clay date. We should go to Clay and see Gabriella." So
Yes.
and
I
Marquita,
just
you're
saw her the
coming
other
too.
day.
So
She is an actual delight. You talk about a delight.
she gets
We
me through the day.
laughed.
Gets me through the day talking to that girl.
Oh my God.
um, I also, what, something that has happened in this coming out of this crazy year is, and I keep telling people that I think coming out of the quarantine is as traumatic as going through it, because we all hunkered down and took care of ourselves. And now that for me, I think, and we're in the restaurant out there in the trenches kind of, so we've dealt with it already. But there's still people that come to the restaurant, they're like, oh, this is my first time out in public, and I'm just like, oh, I've been doing it since August. But
Exactly.
but there's
Speak all
something
day.
like, when you don't have to worry about dying anymore. Like, you're not gonna catch this deadly disease going to the supermarket. So for me, it was like, well, what else am I going to worry about? And I got paranoid about everything else, and that there's all these stages. So it's a still a scary time, and it's a very weird going out there. And people need to take care of themselves. And if you
Mhm.
need to rest and stay home, don't feel guilty to just stay in bed all day. I was telling a friend yesterday, it's like it's a spa day. Just take care of yourself. Reach out to your friends, make sure they're okay. Talk about it. We've had a few traumas at my restaurant, and I think very often just say what you're feeling. If you can put an emotion, whether this is shock, this is sadness, this is fear, and I
Yeah.
think those things help, because there's still a lot of trauma. And what we're seeing when we go out to meet up with your friends, what's going to come up is, oh, my dad died. Oh, my colleague died. And you're seeing that. And so when you get out there, you're going to experience seeing your friends, and you're going to hear the difficult things that they went through.
Right.
And that is,
Yeah.
I got to say, that's tough.
It
So
was anxiety for me going in and coming out.
yeah,
And
100%.
I've never really dealt with that. And
Right.
some mornings I was just like, it was actual anxiety. I'm just like, I feel anxious, like butterflies in the stomach, like what is happening? And
Yeah.
that was in the
The thick of it.
re-emergence space,
Yeah.
not even in the going into pandemic, which is a whole other thing. But again, we thought that was going to be like 2 weeks.
No,
Okay.
so crazy.
What's happening?
Ugh.
Coming back into work, I think it was a little bit more, like you said, like there's some trauma. So yeah, I get the space of saying, let's breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to pinpoint what is wrong. Is there anything wrong?
Right.
and comb through it so that we can just get back to a clear head and not feeling fear, not feeling anxious, and not feeling overwhelmed, I guess, or sad.
Yeah.
And just figuring out what you need to do in your life, whether it's stay at the restaurant, leave the restaurant, whatever, to get centered and to keep it moving forward positively for yourself and your soul.
It's a hard time, but I think that disruptions like this do offer opportunities, and if only to learn how to take care of yourself, but also there are career changes being made, and there's a lot of opportunity to learn and take classes and things like that. So
yeah, definitely. Yes. Creative space. Take time to branch out to your creative space, for sure.
Exactly. That's I'm trying to figure out what to do with this thing that I've created with interviewing my winemakers, and it's a weird time. Anyways, I'm gonna let you go, honey.
It's a lot of things that one can do, especially with social media platforms. It's like, I mean, it's like, what can't you do now, really? I mean, if you really push, especially in our communities where people are like, we're going to support now. We see that there has been a gross underrepresentation and inclusivity in what we were doing. And so now, I mean, Marquita and I are going to be upstate judging Loire. We're going to, like, see, we say.
Oh, I'm going with you.
We say what's good in Loire now.
Exactly. I got
that.
added to that panel a little bit later, but I'm gonna be on that bus with you guys, and I'm very excited. But yes, exactly. I can't wait. But yes, exactly. It's you guys tell people. What?
This is genuine excitement. You just like spoken into existence. Us being able to sit and break bread, and on Monday, Tuesday, we're gonna be on a bus.
No, I can't wait.
That excites me.
I got to decide if I'm going to stay in the hotel. I don't think I'm going to deal with packing a suitcase. So I don't know.
Do it. Marquita and I are staying. Marquita already said she's going to check in as soon as there's time. And when it's time to go sleep, she's going to draw those curtains and sleep in a dark room in a hotel bed. You should do it.
Okay. All right. I got to tell them today, I think. All right, honey. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's sometimes a difficult subject, but you made it easy to talk freely and openly, and I really appreciate that.
Yes, we should be free.
Yes. So thank you. I will see you on Tuesday and spend the day with you on Wednesday. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
And stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and watching all this, and especially everybody that's still here. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Take care of yourself. Be well. Bye-bye.